Hello everyone and welcome to the first video installment of hashtag TNA Talk on TNAnews.com's official YouTube account. I am Alex Barie, the lead editor of TNAnews.com, and in hashtag TNA Talk is pretty much where I answer your questions. You sent your questions into me all week long. I compile them and put them in a little list here for me to answer. I answer them once a week. You ask me directly from my Ask page. You send them in. I've been getting them, quite frequently lately. That I may have to do it a couple more times a week now, but we'll see how that goes. As far as the whole installment goes, this is the first video of the series, testing it out with this new YouTube account, trying to get feedback, trying to get more variety on the page. So all this is just to make it more exciting for you. And I got a list of my questions here. I'm ready to dig in, so let's begin. The first question is, why did Mr. Anderson take such a step backward with his feud with Samuel Shaw, and why wasn't he put in a lethal lockdown match or against Bully Ray? Now, first off, Anderson's feud rivalry with Bully Ray is over. It ended. It ended in a casket match a couple weeks ago. And for them to have a match at Lockdown would be pretty much pointless. So let's strap that out. Why wasn't he in Lethal Lockdown? Simply put, he wasn't put in it. There was, they used other people. They put Davey Richards, Jeff Hardy, Willow. They picked otherwise. And then for Anderson taking a step backwards, let me elaborate on this a little bit. Anytime you're on the card, pay-per-view card on a show, you should be happy. It may not be where you want to be, but at least you're showed prominently. At least you're on the show to get that bonus. There were people on the Impact Wrestling roster who weren't even at Lockdown. Hernandez, Rob Terry. And those people, should they be used? Yeah, they're great talent. But there was nothing for them at the moment. So Anderson being in a match at Lockdown, simply put, is good enough for him. I like Anderson. I think he's a great talent. I'm a fan of his. Just to see him at Lockdown was good enough for me. Taking a step backwards, we can't always have the major stars, the bigger stars of any company continue to push and to elevate themselves to be the main event all the time. See, people are never happy. Whether, say, Anderson goes to the title, wins the title, people will complain that he's not pushing new people. Here, Anderson is pushing a new star, a new talent, Samuel Shaw. And that is the focus of TNA Wrestling right now. As it seems to me, TNA is striding to push younger talent, new talent, not only just the wrestlers, but the characters itself, to captivate you, to pique your interest, to entice you to watch week after week after week. And that's what TNA is doing right here. Having Anderson feud with Shaw only helps Shaw. But it doesn't only help. It helps Anderson too. Because Anderson is a great talent, as I said. He works with anyone. He could work heel, he could work face. Putting him in a match against, feud against Shaw not only benefits Shaw, but it continues to show Anderson. And I think Shaw is working with a great talent. He really needs to be pushed along its way. Not heavily pushed like a Ryback, but steady push. And Anderson, I think, can do that job and is doing that job. So I don't see any reason why to attack Anderson or Shaw or anything, does that matter, with details with that. The next question is, why is TNA not returning to Birmingham next year? The crowd was full and loud when they went over there earlier this year. I don't know why TNA didn't add a show to Birmingham for next year's Maximum Impact Tour. I don't think the tickets went on sale yet, and they could actually maybe add a show, to Birmingham, or make one known before the tickets go on sale or before the tour, begins. I don't know why they didn't announce it. Maybe they just, couldn't, be in that arena, couldn't be in that city when they were over there. Maybe it's preoccupied. So, as I looked, TNA had 4 cities they traveled to during the Maximum Impact tour earlier this year, and now next year they only have 3. They eliminated Birmingham. I don't know the reason behind that, but certainly interesting, and I will have to keep my eye on that, see if they do announce one. But I'm just thinking they probably maybe just couldn't reach a deal on that, which is a shame. Next question is, what's your opinion on Eric Bischoff still being employed by TNA? Anyone who knows me knows I'm a fan of Eric Bischoff. Big fan of Eric Bischoff. I think he's a creative genius. He is a producing genius as well. Eric Bischoff is a part owner of his own producing company, Bischoff Harvey Entertainment. They produced many television shows, and they actually produce Impact Wrestling. And the last time I heard about Eric Bischoff was that he was sent home by TNA upper management. Now, I asked my sources in TNA if that was true, and they said that's what they said. But I still think, Eric Bischoff still has a prominent role in TNA producing the show. I just don't understand how you could produce a show at home. But whatever the case is, I think Eric Bischoff, did a great job in TNA. Is doing a great job in TNA. I have no, attacks against him. And maybe when he first started in TNA, him and Hogan had pretty much the keys handed to them, and that's when it got a little fishy. They brought in, lots of veteran type stars. They made their show look like a WWE show, which certainly shouldn't have happened. But if you look at the show, like TNA from 2006 or 2007, compared to TNA shows from 2012, 2013, you could see the difference, a big difference in how the show has been produced. The lighting, the camera angles, the complexity of the show. I know Eric Bischoff worked in the creative department in TNA for quite some time, and I still think he has a role in it from what I've been reading. And just the basic facts of the storyline arches and the character development that they have been working on, in a year plus, from a year plus ago. But certainly Eric Bischoff has had a key role in TNA, and I think he's really made a big improvement to the company. Not just the shows, but the characters and storylines. And what's my opinion is, I think he's great. It's great to have him in TNA. Next question is Vince Russo still booking TNA because some of the lockdown match decisions were terrible? Now, I love when a match, a storyline, has double twists, double swerves, whatever the case, or bad booking decisions, because whenever that happens, people always blame Vince Russo. They always think Vince Russo is in on a deal. And the funny thing is, Vince Russo doesn't work for TNA. WrestlingNewsWorld.com, the parent site of TNAnews.com, actually contacted TNA, and TNA said to the site that Vince Russo is not under contract with the company. So the decisions that were made at lockdown were completely TNA's creative department's bookings, and that's David Lagunda and Matt Conway. But the funny thing is, I don't want to compare a cat to an elephant or whatever, but for WWE, when a storyline or a match goes wrong, or horrible booking call was made, no one ever blames Vince Russo. No one says Vince Russo is working for them. No one says Vince Russo played a part in that. It's always about TNA, and that TNA's trying to get him in. They're always trying to put Vince Russo a part of TNA. But Vince Russo's gone from TNA. He hasn't been there for over a year. And I like Vince Russo's work. A lot of it is questionable. A lot of it's fishy. But at the same time, he does have a creative mind. He does have a different view, different perspective of the business than others do. Vince Russo is not with TNA, and the booking decisions that were made at Lockdown were strictly by the current TNA writers. So if you have a problem with that, blame Lagunda. Final question is, why does TNA continue with Southern pay-per-views? Miami always is a poor draw, and TNA has never had a main event pay-per-view in Boston, New York City, etc. Now, first of all, Miami being a poor draw, if you look at Miami's WrestleMania 29, you could see that obviously it's not a horrible city that draws. But whatever the case may be, I think it falls down to two parts. First off, it falls down to TNA's booking of huge arenas. I don't understand why they have to, good arenas that have 8,000 to 10,000 to 12,000 seats when they can't fill them up. We've seen that at Lockdown this past Sunday. They were half the side was empty. And I'm not saying that TNA failed at it. TNA is going out of business. Absolutely not. But when you book an arena like that, you should be expected to fill it. If you can't fill it, why are you booking it? I have no problem with TNA going to small arenas, 3,000 seat arenas, maybe even 4,000 if they could get the right opportunity. To go in those arenas and absolutely have it look fantastic. Have every seat filled. Not only would that come across great on TV, but the crowd reaction, crowd energy in that arena could be better than a 3,000 people arena in an 8,000 seat capacity place. Lockdown's pay-per-view, the crowd was horrible. They barely popped. They barely got into the pay-per-view. They chanted CM Punk in one of the matches. I don't understand it. As for TNA being booked in southern places, well, TNA is a southern company. They originated in Tennessee. They have their shows in Orlando. That's where they navigate down south. And yeah, they have their live events up in northeast and into the west. But it's just traveling further and further away just creates more and more expenses. So keeping it in a pretty much territorial atmosphere in a southern, I guess you could say, area, it limits the cost, it limits the expenses. But I think, in the future sometime that TNA would have to go up north, would have to invade the northeastern territory and book not only Impact or not just have live events, but have an Impact or pay-per-view. It's time, that they not only try that, but they do that. And I think it would work out pretty well. One of my writers for TNAnews.com, he went to a live event that was in New York, TNA live event last year. And he said it almost had 3,000 people, maybe a little bit more. And that's at a live event. For TNA's live event, they get 1,000, maybe 1,500. It doubled, almost more than double, if you could say, at this live event. So they could certainly draw, but they particularly like to go to places that they draw best. Texas is one of them. Texas, They have a great following in Texas. Florida, well, we thought it was the case, but not sure about that. Chicago, great city. Arkansas, they hit gold there once. But I think they could go up north, and they should go up north. And it's only, I think, a matter of time until they, announce one for the Northeast. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's TNA or hashtag TNA Talk. I am Alex Barie, and if you have a question for me to send in, for the next installment, maybe I'll get one or two out next week. Do another video. Let me know if the video went well, if you liked it, or you want it in written format. It's up to you. I want to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me, listening to me here on this week's hashtag TNA Talk. And I'll put all the links below and on the website, tnanews.com. Check it out. And send them to me. I want to answer your questions. But until next time, I am Alex Barie for tnanews.com. I'll see you later.